Good to have your company, Peter.
My pleasure.
I guess we just start with that checklist. Are you happy with where the game is placed right now with the clock ticking towards May 28?
Absolutely. Look, we set a target date very early and we knew there was a lot of hurdles to overcome. And basically, we're just getting there. I think the hardest one was the government and the fact that we've got both the federal and state government approvals for the Warriors and Queensland to allow our players to train. They're big steps. And I'm very confident that we'll be able to start on the 28th of May.
Peter, according to those at state and federal government level who have seen your biosecurity plan, they say it's very professional, very thorough, very watertight, but it all comes down to the trust in your players. And after what we saw this week with Latrell Mitchell, Josh Addo-Carr and Nathan Cleary, how can the general public trust your players to do the right thing?
Look, you're 100% right, Andrew. We need to trust our players, but I have confidence in them. I think they realise the importance. Not only are they affecting themselves, but they're affecting the 485 colleagues and the game itself. If they do something wrong, they jeopardise the whole game. So the consequences are immense. But you have to also put it into perspective. If they do transgress, it's 1 in 1,000 chance that they will get the virus. If they stay with our biosecurity measures, it's 1 in 10,000 chances they'll get the virus. So just because they transgress doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to catch the virus, because the virus infection rate at the moment is extremely low. So they'd have to be in a very bad place for them to catch it.
Mr V'landys, are you betting your career on this? You're the one that's pushed this harder than anybody. You're saying it's a 1 in 10,000 chance and that we can trust the players. If there was a positive, would you resign? Look,
it depends on the circumstances. Yeah, look, I'm in the racing industry, so I bet every day. It's a gamble. And you're right, Pete. The thing is, this is a risk analysis, and we have undertaken one of the greatest risk analysis there is. As I said, it's 1 in 10,000 chance of them catching the virus. And now I'm not in any way discounting the importance of the coronavirus, but there's 1 in 10,000 chance that you could die from a car accident. A player, there's 1 in 10 million chances that he will die from the coronavirus. So the risk analysis, we've always put the player first and the community first, and everything we have done. And if I can just say this, Pete, when we stopped play, the infection rate was 25.1%. For the last 21 days, it's been less than 1%. The aim is to get it to 0%. The recovery rate of the virus in Australia is 85%. There's only 27 beds being used out of 1,020. All the facts and all the analysis show that the risk is minimal to zero.
May I respectfully submit that while you liken it to a car accident, the chances of a car accident, the difference with coronavirus, as we've seen with the aged care facility in Western Sydney that's lost 13 people killed, dead, from one infection, that this is not just a car accident, that the risk is that the whole thing spreads a lot wider. Do you accept that?
Look, the coronavirus is very contagious, no doubt about that, but our biosecurity measures, we've got one of the best biosecurity professors in the world undertaking this exercise. He specialises in biochemical and biological weapons. So he's put something together and he assures us that it's 1 in 10,000 chance to catch the virus if they abide by our biosecurity measures. The risk to the community is zero. The risk to a nursing home is zero. Our players will be safer being under our biosecurity measures as they would be if we left them in the normal community. There's 1 in 1,000 chance in the normal community, 1 in 10,000 chance if they abide by our biosecurity measures. So we're actually protecting the community by having our players under our conditions.
Peter, a lot of the players threatened to abandon training tomorrow unless there was some more certainty around pay and health guidelines and the rest. Do you think they're being unreasonable?
No, not at all. Look, I met with 40 players. They wanted clarity. The players have always been professional. They've always been cooperative. And the thing that most impressed me about the players on Friday, their determination to start the game on the 28th of May. Look, there's always going to be disputes in a family, and I regard the rugby league as a family. We settled those disputes on Friday. There wasn't much discussion on the pay rate. They were very satisfied with what we put forward. It's the clarity on a number of other issues. Look, they're normal human beings like the rest of us. They've got mortgages, they've got expenses, they've got stresses, and they needed some security on that, and we provided it.
Peter, May 28 has been the date that you've set in stone for some time. I understand that, you know, the finances of the game aren't great. You want to get back as soon as possible. But surely you have to concede there's a little bit of desire there to get back before the AFL.
No, not at all. Look, I haven't even looked at the AFL because look, their challenges.
Come on.
No, their challenges are greater than us, to be fair to the AFL. They've got teams throughout Australia and their geographical challenges are greater. Look, we set ourselves a target date, and what most people criticised us at the time was that we believed we'd be playing the next day. We're not playing the next day. We're playing in 4 weeks' time. In 4 weeks' time, the way that the recovery rate is going, we might have 100% recovery. The one big statistic I want to share with you, though, is that there's been, of all the tests that have been done, only 1% are positive. The virus has been well contained by the government. I take my hat off to both the federal and state government. And if everyone downloads the app, this virus will be extinguished sooner rather than later.
Here's my last question, sir. Is it a condition of playing, every one of your players, that they download the app or they don't take the field?
Look, we're going to discuss that with the players. Everything is done with consultation and agreement, Pete. They've got an education day on Monday. They will go through all that. It's important that they download the app because that's our best protection. And they've got a lot of other things they have to do. They have to report daily of any symptoms or any rises in temperature. They have some great responsibility. And tomorrow they will go through that as the educational day, and I'm sure that they will all feel comfortable and move forward.
Thank you. Can I just suggest that given that you're putting at risk the public health, it's ipso facto, you've got to get every one of the people that are involved in the NRL to download the app or don't take part at all.
Well, that's discussion with our players, Pete, and I thought the last one was your last question. So we will do everything for them to download that app, and look, the Players Association have agreed that the app is essential, but everything's done with consultation with our players. We don't make any decisions unless we have engagement with everybody.
Peter V'landys, Commission Chairman of the Australian Rugby League. Appreciate your time on Sports Sunday this morning, and all the best in that countdown to May 28.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Peter V'landys joining us this morning. You've obviously been chief critic out there in terms of how this has been handled, Peter.
I'm not the only one, and there's a lot of people in the rugby league community. I'm amazed. I don't know if you get the same, Andrew, given your league journalism. Do you get a lot of people rugby league saying I'm not in favour of this? Because I've got a lot of them.
I just think people have got. I'm neither for or against it. I'm just. In terms of my job, I've had to ask valid questions about the safety of it, about the rush to... I've just found that May 28 was decided as the line in the sand that they were going to get back there. It was before they brought in Project Apollo, and they have done whatever they can, and Peter V'landys in particular has done whatever he can to ban state, federal governments, players, clubs, the public health system around it. Whether you think it's all, you know, I've known him for a long time in his role as Racing New South Wales CEO. He doesn't care about the criticism. He doesn't care what you say, Fitz. He doesn't, because all he wants to do is put the game first and get it going again. He's
not the issue. The issue that, as I see it, is the government has done really well, and the community we've done really well, and we've had our premiers and our Prime Minister in the cross-section, stop sign, nobody move, everybody stay home. Now, on the 28th of May, a decision made by the NRL, not by the government saying, all right, you stay, you may come forward. And the part of the industry they've said that may come forward is the single most risky activity in the country with employees that engage in the riskiest behaviour for the last decades. Why is the government saying that's the one?
They admitted their own biosecurity plan. I wrote about it late last week.
I read every word you write.
Thank you. I read every word of yours.
Please. You too.
In their own plan, under their own plan, they say they cannot guarantee that there won't be widespread risk infection, given the very nature of the sport. So that's the question that I have for it. Can the players be trusted to follow all those protocols that Peter V'landys was just talking about?
A yay or a nay, May 28, will it start?
100%.
I think so now, looking at that checklist.
Peter, are you sold?
Yes, it'll start, but it's risky. And after the break, James Bracey will come back with his opinion. Stay tuned, sports fans.